What happens when the life you imagine slowly fades into darkness? Literally. How do you navigate a world you can no longer see and still choose to lead, teach, and live with open hearted gratitude? Today's guest, Laura, is here to show us how courage doesn't mean being fearless, it means being fully human. Diagnosed with an eye disease at 9 and completely blind by 19, Laura has transformed grief into grit and fear into fuel. A Princeton graduate, powerful speaker, and author of Harnessing Courage, she's built a life not in spite of her blindness, but through it. If you've ever felt stuck in transition, overwhelmed by uncertainty, or afraid to grieve what you've lost, this conversation is your permission slip to feel, heal, and lead with purpose. But before we dive into this episode, y'all already know what time it is. Vibe with me, y'all.
Welcome to the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast.
Y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. It's your healthy habits and lifestyle coach, Jovonnie, here to help you reduce the chronic pain, the bloating, and the fatigue by identifying those lifestyle disruptors that could be causing all of the disruption. But y'all, I'm here today with Laura. Laura, welcome to the Good Vibe Studio.
Welcome. Thank you. I so appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am. Laura, take us back to the moment you realized your sight was truly leaving. Like, what did it feel like, and how did you begin to move forward through that level of change?
So I was diagnosed at 9, but I didn't realize, I realized cognitively what was going on, but emotionally as a 9-year-old, I didn't have a clue. I could see then, so I thought I'd always see. It affected me emotionally, and when I realized my whole world was changing and I had to adapt at 14. So I'm in geography class. I'm in 8th grade. It's the end of middle school, right before I'm starting high school. And the teacher said, get out a piece of paper and start copying down the notes on the board. So I'd always done, I grabbed my paper, grabbed my pen, looked up at the board, and all I saw were these black blobs. They weren't full, complete images. Like it wasn't letters, but it also wasn't shapes. It was just like squiggly marks. So I looked back down at my paper, looked back up at the board, and still all I saw were these fuzzy blobs. And so I leaned over to my neighbor and the girl beside me and said, how are you copying down the notes on the board? There's nothing to write down. Are you just writing down words that you've remembered we've studied? Her answer was life-changing. She leaned back over and just casually said, Laura, the print is completely normal. What are you talking about? That's when I realized my whole world was quickly changing. So my instant reaction was denial. Oh, this is not going to be permanent. I have no idea why I said this, but this will be all over by the time I graduate from high school. That's what I told myself in that denial survival mindset. That denial quickly wore off, and the intense grief, which led to anxiety, panic attacks, deep depression. That was my experience all through high school, my emotional response.
That was a lot. That was heavy. And I can only imagine what that's like for a child, like you said, being diagnosed at 9, but truly not feeling the impact until 14, right, when it really started to come to fruition. Like you really started to understand what that diagnosis was even talking about.
Right.
And I think that part right there. And then like, just think about other 14-year-olds and what might be causing them, the depression, the anxiety, and the things that they're navigating through. But for your vision, for your sight, was there a specific turning point when you went from surviving the change to when you actually started owning your story when it came to this eye disease and going into blindness by the age of 19?
So yes, And it was a series of events. So it was a
Mm.
series of small moments that led up to that one pivotal moment that I remember. But then after that moment, it was still a series of events. So what I mean by that is there wasn't just one day I woke up and said, okay, I'm great. This is good to go. I'm happy. I embrace myself. Let's roll. It was the support around me taught me and empowered me that I could do this moment by moment, day by day. So through that high school experience, as I'm depressed, as I'm living in panic attacks, as I'm deeply grieving, it was the people around me that believed in me. They gave me those small glimpses of moments of hope. I think I can do this. Yeah, I can do this moment. I can do this hour. I can do this day. And so all those moments led up to the moment I want to describe. So in between high school and college, I got my first guide dog. And when you get a guide dog, you're at guide dog school for a month. So I was 3,000 miles away from home, community, friends, family, and I'm 18, remember? So for 18 Southern year old, 3,000 miles away from home in San Francisco, I was sitting in my dorm room and it was the afternoon that I would receive my guide dog. And I just very vividly remember sitting on my bed and just saying, okay, you've had incredible support to get you to this point. You're getting ready to receive a guide dog that will help you physically navigate the world. Now it's time for me to embrace myself, accept this is the new normal, and choose not only just to physically move forward, but just emotionally and mentally move forward. And I want to make it very clear. It wasn't like I had that thought and then boom, life was easy, smooth, perfect, simple. It still was an everyday choice of choosing that courage, choosing that strength.
I appreciate that. And I kind of was thinking to the listener right now that feels like their diagnosis, whether it's endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids, an eye disease, some chronic condition where they're feeling like they are out of control when it comes to what's happening to their body. What does that courage, choosing courage, look like for that listener right now, Laura, that you want to speak to?
So choosing the courage, I'm going to say what it looked like in my life and then all the people that I've worked with. Choosing the courage looks like acknowledging the reality, acknowledging, validating the emotions. Yeah, this is really hard. Sorry, I combined words. Yeah, this is really hard. This is really fearful. And I choose to do the next step. So courage looks like acknowledging the reality, feeling the reality, validating the reality, and still choosing to move forward. You said it perfectly in the beginning. It's not despite of, it's using the fear as fuel.
And have you felt like that your definition of courage and your momentum of courage has evolved over um, your lived experience over time?
100%. Because even in that moment that I described receiving my guide dog, even then, I would have described courage if you'd asked me, oh, just be strong, push on, don't show emotions, always be positive, always say you're grateful for everything and all the time, blah, 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 be cheery. That's how I would have defined courage. Through my lived experience, I realized what courage is feeling and validating what we're feeling and still choosing to move forward in our experience and knowing that what we have control over in our experience is our mindset.
And how valuable do you feel like mindset is? And what is your true definition of mindset?
It's everything. As far as the valuable, it's everything. It's 100% because I could not have, still cannot control. I said it like I could have. I cannot control that I'm a person in a sighted world who doesn't have sight. What I can control is my mindset to that. What is my reaction? What is my response to that? So I believe it's absolutely 110% everything.
Mhm.
The way that I experience my mindset now, how it has evolved and developed, is that balance of grit and the balance of gratitude. And the way that I define grit is not, again, that push on, sweep it under the rug, suck it up, move on. It's that grit of taking the large goal, which would be living life without sight, and breaking it down into small, manageable goals. All I have to do is focus on today and live in the present. Even when the present is hard, fearful, scary, makes me angry, acknowledging that and then choosing to still move forward. And the gratitude is what helps me navigate what I'm grateful for and appreciative for, that helps me navigate through the difficulty.
And I think that's a big thing. Like I know that grit, being able to choose to live life moment by moment, not really trying to allow yourself to be overwhelmed by the future. I really appreciate that definition of grit. And I think a lot of times people are so future focused that they're unable to truly just appreciate the present, and really see the value and what it is that they have and what they have accomplished, even from, past experiences. And I think sometimes I have to remind not just myself, but students and other people about the hard things that they've overcome. And I
Yes.
think when
100%.
you don't take that time to acknowledge all the things that you've overcome and those hard obstacles and challenges, like those help create that resilience, that grit that you do have, and being able to truly resonate in those moments. And I think so many times people are just keep pushing forward to grow and go and keep going, that they haven't acknowledged all that power that they still have within themselves.
And that
And
they
so
have had in the past,
that, yet heavily on that they have had it in the past, because
right?
we feel as though some things you don't have control over doesn't mean that you've lost power, like
100%.
just because you lost control of some aspects of your life or things that happens doesn't mean that you've lost your power. And I think that's a big point of it. Y'all drop power in the comments if you're still vibing with me and Laura in this conversation and you're still with us. Drop power in the comments. Something I don't want to talk about, Laura, was that guide dog. How was that experience getting that guide dog, and what was your mindset now when it comes to navigating the world with this new guide dog? And I'm someone who defines mindset as your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs. So your feelings, your thoughts, your beliefs, they heavily impact your choices, and your choices show up as your behavior, and your behaviors create your lifestyle. And so when you say, mindset is everything, it truly is. And when you're navigating hardships, or even when you're just navigating life, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, they impact how you show up, how you're able to choose love and choose light. So what did that look like for you, getting that guide dog, in regards to your mindset with, okay, I'm 18, I'm getting this guide dog, I'm here for a month. And typically people my age are now getting away in college, going off away to college. And this is something different. What did that look like for you mindset wise?
It was incredibly empowering because I knew after that month I was going to start college. And
Mm.
and that it taught me to be comfortable in my own skin again. The gift, because, and again, we're talking about like a 57-pound black lab, right? Like we're talking about like a tiny little female black lab, but I literally was trusting her as my eyes, and she empowered me with the mindset and the confidence. I'm me. That this is just my new normal, and it's not a less than, it's not something like a plan B, like this is a mistake. It's just, this is what it is right now. And so it taught me that, it restored that confidence it gave me just that overall grounding. That would probably be the main word I would use. Just that grounding of I am who I am. And it's like I always feel like I need to apologize for being blind. But she empowered me and taught me and gave me the strength and the mindset to just say, I am who I am.
I appreciate you breaking that down. I like it. The new normal,
The new
and
normal.
that restored confidence and that grounding into I am who I am. Can you give the listeners maybe 2 or 3 steps if they're struggling right now with wrapping their mind around a new normal? Maybe it's a diagnosis, maybe it's a life-changing event that has occurred, and there's this major shift in their life. How could they truly embrace the mindset that you had in regards to really restoring their confidence and understanding that I am who I am without the guilt, without the shame? What are some steps they can make to really start shifting in that direction?
So the very first step is just to take a breath and acknowledge what the diagnosis, what you're facing is really, really difficult. And it's not something you wanted. Again, like you talk about, we live in the future. We so jump, and I say this from my own experience, we jump to the future so quick. We don't give ourselves time to just breathe and say, yeah, this is really, really hard. This is not what I want. This is not what I expect. So that doesn't sound like that's moving us forward. Rather, it is deeply moving us forward because acknowledging where we are gives us power and control and a mindset to move forward. So the very first step is acknowledging the pain of where we are. And that's not where we thought we were going to be or where we wanted to be. The next step is to say, okay, this is where I am. What am I going to do about it? And what I can do about it is be grateful for what helps me move forward. Is it for, like for me, it was the guide dog that helped me move forward. Is it just being in nature? Is it that random person in the grocery store that just smiled at you when you were having an absolute terrible day after you received the diagnosis? And again, it's not grateful all the time for the whole future. It's just learning to be appreciative in the moment for what helps you navigate through that moment. So that would be my very first 2 steps, to acknowledge where you are and to acknowledge that's difficult. And then to put your focus on what you appreciate that helps to get you through that diagnosis.
Thank you, Laura. And I made it three steps. Take a breath and acknowledge that this is difficult, because that helps you restore that power and shift your mindset into what's really happening in regards to your reality. And then I said 2, what am I going to do to move myself forward? So it's actually starting to do a little brainstorming, and thinking about what do I feel like resonates with me in moving forward. And then 3, truly just showing appreciation for where I am right now and what I do have and the power that I do have, and how I'm moving that forward. So I actually pulled 3 out of it. So I kind of made 2 and 3 a little different. And it really resonated with me, Laura, because it took a 4-hour long surgery for me to be diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovary syndrome, and fibroids. And it showed me that how I was living, the lifestyle that I was living, was leading me to deep infiltrated inflammation. A chronic state of inflammation was where I was in this thing called life. And I thought I was healthy. I thought I was doing everything right and living okay. And I realized I wasn't. There were so many things in my lifestyle that wasn't well. I was in high stress and I wasn't eliminating or managing that stress at all. I was eating inflammatory foods, the cheese, which was there, the sugar, a lot of processed foods. I didn't have a great quality of sleep. My sleep hygiene wasn't where it should have been. And so it was just a lot of different things. And I took that moment. I think you talked about it earlier about just pushing forward and just go, going to the next thing, going to the next thing without truly just pausing, being still, and recognizing what in my life wasn't at a place for me to ground and for me to say I am who I am, feel confident in that, love myself. And this journey, once I had that diagnosis, I was like, well, what is all of this? I hadn't even heard of all of these things before. Yes, I had the pelvic pain. Yes, I had the irregular periods. Yes, I had the unwanted facial hair. Yes, I had the low back pain. Yes, I had the painful bowel movements. I had all of these symptoms and all of these ways my body was sending me messages for years. And I just always had a way of validating it or overriding it or saying it was just normal. And it isn't normal. Pain is not normal. The things that my body was messaging to me was saying things weren't normal. And so for me, it really was, Laura, like, what am I going to do now that I know my body has been diagnosed with these conditions? So it's in this state of dis-ease. What am I choosing moving forward? And it started with nutrition. It started with food. And over time, I started recognizing all of these lifestyle disruptors that was having that doesn't help the body heal, doesn't help you feel your most vibrant self. And so if that's you right now, and you might be sitting here like, I don't know what those lifestyle disruptors are. I'm not quite sure what I might be doing that's causing me more pain than giving me more power back. Check the show notes and grab your hidden lifestyle disruptors guide that talks about 15 of them and why they're important and what your body could be saying to help you out on that journey. But Laura, I'm really grateful that you broke those things down for us and really showed us how you kind of shifted to a way that was a little bit more empowering.
Right. And what I want to, so I'm so glad you shared what you did, because it made me realize, and I want to definitely highlight, even though my anxiety, my depression, the grief, that was an emotional, mental response, nutrition still played a huge healing role. And what I mean by that is, as I cut out sugar and a lot of processed food, my anxiety decreased. Ooh. As I focused on having a routine of exercise and being outside and being in nature, my sleep improved. As I focused on spending time outside in the sun, my depression, it didn't go away by any means, but it got better. So thank you for saying that, because that made me, I wouldn't have thought of saying that, but that definitely made me say, even when what you're going through is emotional and mental, not necessarily a physical diagnosis, our life response is huge in our healing process.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm glad for that too, because I didn't know. Like some things we just didn't know. We weren't taught certain things.
And I had no clue.
Yeah, at all. And we're so worried about like getting fixed. Like, who can help me fix myself or fix the situation or solve the problem? And it's just like, sometimes it's just in the way that we're living. And if we just shifted the things that could be causing those disruptions in regards to how we're living, we might see, like you said, some improvements in how we're able to experience this thing called life. But thinking about fixing, Laura, many people think empowerment means fixing something or getting it all together, but you've spoken about empowerment as a way of truly just being. Can you unpack that for us? What does that mean by empowerment truly just mean a way of being?
So in my lived experience, 100% what you said, empowerment is not a fix. And empowerment is a mindset that we go through every day in life. So empowerment is not just one quick fix and our problems are over. Rather, empowerment gives us the mindset to choose how we're going to respond every moment to life. In those difficult moments, in the good moments, are we going to be grateful and appreciative for those good moments? Are we going to recognize those good moments, or just ignore them? Kind of push them away and just say, oh, that's not that big a deal. And then those everyday, just mundane life moments, having that empowerment gives us the grounding and the strength to keep going in all situations, not just the bad, but in the good, in the just every day. One of the huge just lessons that I had to learn in empowerment was receiving the good.
Mhm.
that things didn't always and weren't always stressful and bad and hard and intense and adversity. Just when there were those good moments, accept them and receive them. And that's okay. It's not that I'm not doing hard and doing enough or growing or having a growth mindset. It's okay that things are good. And just receiving that. So to me, that's what empowerment is, receiving each moment of life for what it is and just continuing forward, not trying to fix an issue or a problem.
I like it. And, we're on the Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast having this empowering conversation. And it's really just that hub and that space to truly let people know what can we do in regards to your mindset, your mindful eating, and your movement that's going to help shift you into truly just embracing your healing journey or embracing how to just truly live on your own terms, a life that you love and truly want to be of purpose. But I feel like fixing things isn't necessarily the mindset that you would want. It's more so just embodying your true self, all of you for what it is that you've experienced, who you are today, and who you're continuing to evolve in through your mindset, through your lifestyle. And so something that you talked about before, Laura, was that you mentioned constant grief can be one of the most challenging parts of blindness. What do we misunderstand about grief, especially in the context of personal transformation?
What we miss is that grief does not just mean the death of a human.
Mm.
So so there's non-death loss, which is a huge loss. So yeah, when I, became blind, that wasn't the death of a human, but that created intense grief. So, and I say that because a lot of people I work with tell me, "Oh, but I shouldn't be grieving." Because and the reason they're saying that is because they physically did not have a death of a family member or friend or someone they
Mm.
know, so they think their grief is not valid. So what I want to make very clear is grieving is when we have a major loss, whether that's relationship, a diagnosis, an illness, a job change, any type of loss, just a child going to college, just any type of major loss in our life is the grief process. And one conversation that I had with a mentor gave me permission to grieve in an empowered way.
Mm.
So it was literally the week before I started college, and I was in an administrator's office at the college, and I went to Arizona State. And at the end of our meeting, she said, "Laura, right before you leave, I just want to tell you one thing." And of course, as an 18-year-old, your mind's like, "Oh, yeah, whatever," right? Like just kind of rolling your eyes, like, "Oh, I don't need this, I'm good." And she said, "I just want to let you know you feel like you've grieved through high school for your blindness, and now you're through grieving, and now you can move forward. I want to give you," and she literally said, "permission. I want to give you permission and tell you that the grieving process will be with you the rest of your life. And that's not a weakness. That
Mm.
doesn't mean you haven't accepted your blindness. That doesn't mean you can't move forward. It means that on some level, you you will acknowledge and you will realize just grieving your vision is an ongoing process. But I just want to give you permission to do both at the same time." So she literally that day gave you permission because she was right. I feel like I had to grieve and then move forward. I feel like I couldn't do both at the same time or I wasn't empowered, right? I
Yeah.
thought if I was grieving, that was weak of me. Like I had to somehow move on and stop this grief thing, or unless if I wanted to feel empowered. But she told me I could be empowered, grieve, and move forward.
Yeah. Y'all drop the word grief in the comments. Grief. I loved it because I know when we talked before, you talked about grief being a part of us. But I love that you also bring to the fact that grief is also not a weakness. And sometimes that's what people think, especially when it's dealing with the loss of life. Like they automatically think, oh, well, if I'm sad, depressed, crying, showing emotions, that, this is weak of me. Like I should be stronger. I need to be strong for other people who are having a harder time navigating grief of a loved one. And it's really about life. Like grief is a part of lifestyle. Grieving the life that you used to live, grieving the relationship that you used to have with food. Now that you see food as, medicine, or a place that will help you with healing, feeling better, reducing the symptoms and things that you're experiencing. Like seeing movement differently. Like you're grieving the life that you used to live, but at the same time, you're embracing a new rhythm towards living and loving, and being of light. And so I really like that you talked about that it's not a non-death loss, and people are grieving different things daily, and to give yourself that permission. And I think that's a big thing, that we always see grief as in this negative thing, but grief could also be a positive thing. It could be so much more of like you said, an empowerment, but it's a mindset, it's a shift, it's a vibe, it's a rhythm of, how you grieve who you used to be, but now are so excited about who you're becoming, the peace, the reduced pain, the vibrancy, the vitality that you're getting back. And I don't know about you, Laura, the diagnosis, they could definitely break us, but we didn't choose for it to break us. We didn't allow it to break us. We allowed it to truly build us up into a stronger being, and then be able to be impactful and empowering by being able to be a speaker, being able to be a coach, being able to help other people navigate their life journey and challenges, just because we're able to turn our purpose into something of power because of what we went through. And I think that's a big thing too. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling really low vibrational, or down and out, and a little depressed maybe, or sad about getting a diagnosis, or feeling out of control in some areas of your life, I want you to know that you can give yourself permission to feel what you're feeling. It is all good. There's no shame in it. But I want you to know that there's still some goodness and some greatness in what it is that you're going through. And it's going to be able to not just help you, but help others as well navigate the hardships of this thing called life. And so don't underestimate the power of mindset shifts, even through conversations. And so I really appreciate it. So you describe grit as not just toughness, but as a decision to live moment by moment and pushing through. And you gave us those steps, right? To truly acknowledge what you're going through, what it is that you're willing to change. What does that change look like for you? Something that I thought about, Laura, is sometimes people don't necessarily approve of what that change looks like for you. And you'll get a lot of pushback or questions about, how you're choosing to navigate through your life. What do you say to those people who are saying, you know what, I'm giving myself permission to change and do some things differently based on my circumstances, based on my conditions, but I'm not really feeling that support? What are some tips that you would give somebody, Laura, right now that doesn't have that supportive system, that can truly understand why people are making the changes that they're making, that's going to best suit them?
Self-compassion.
Mm.
So self-compassion gives us the strength within our being to trust and know that we are making the right decisions. And the reason I say that, again, I say that from my lived experience. I had various different reactions. Like as I was grieving and moving forward, many people would say to me, what are you doing? You're just in denial. Like you just need to stop your life. Literally, you need to stop being in college, and you just need to take time to feel your grief and not move forward in life. Like that, a lot of people gave me that reaction. They thought I was not acknowledging the pain because I was moving forward while acknowledging the pain. And they said that wasn't good enough. So that's what I mean by when you're having those reactions that people are giving you negative feedback on your choices, our strength comes from our self-compassion. And compassion means suffering with. So when
Mm.
we are with ourselves and we are loving ourselves and knowing that we're doing the best we can do each and every moment, that's what allows us to be grounded in our decisions, because we're going to get all type of reactions, right? We're going to get all very, one person's going to love us, one person is not going to love us, right? And the next
Mm.
person won't care about us. We're going to get every single reaction. So it takes that self-compassion to just stay grounded and say, this is my decision.
I like it. Self-compassion gives us strength and trust to make decisions and just ground yourself in those decisions. I really appreciate that. And I think somebody needed to hear that, or somebody needed to be reminded of that. And it all comes back to self. And what you believe for you, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, because they impact your behavior and create your lifestyle. Someone else's lifestyle may not be your lifestyle, and you know what it is that you want to do and try. And it's okay if you try something and you don't like it and you
Yeah.
find out it's not for you. Like, that's okay. At least you had enough trust in yourself to at least try something different to help you out, because you wanted a different experience and you gave yourself the permission to do so. So I'm really grateful that you reminded us of the self-compassion, Laura. And I think that's really important. But to the listener right now who feels too overwhelmed to truly be grateful and provide that self-compassion for themselves, because maybe they never did it. Maybe they were always hard on themselves or was always around people that were hard on them. What is that little reminder that you want to just drop in their ear right now? Drop in their mindset, their thoughts, their feelings, to just shift just a little bit for them.
You are enough. And the reason I say that is because in the midst of a diagnosis, a difficulty, adversity, or what you're describing, in the midst of not feeling that self compassion, when we are so hard on ourselves, we lose the perspective that we matter. We
Mm.
lose the perspective that we are enough. Even in the messiness, even in the difficulty, even when we don't have that self compassion, even when we don't feel like we're enough, right? Like we certainly probably don't feel it in the midst of what's going on, but to trust just that innate, we are enough. And if you don't believe it about yourself, hear the two of us saying it to you, that you are enough, that you do matter.
I agree wholeheartedly. You are enough. Drop that in the comments. I am enough. I want that to truly resonate with you. I want you to see it. I want you to hear it. You can write it down and place your fingers over it and feel it. You are certainly enough. And so, whenever you feel like you're not, and whenever you feel overwhelmed, I want you to know that you are enough. You don't have to be perfect in this thing called life. It's about progress. And take it for Laura, someone who was telling her she should just lay down the thing called life and just give up, feel the pain. And she didn't let that stop her. And it was because she had enough people to provide her support, but she had just enough trust in herself and just enough strength in herself to keep pushing forward and finding what's next for her. She validated her feelings. She acknowledged what she was truly going through, but she also knew that that didn't mean that she couldn't move forward and create the life that she knew she deserved, because there was still life to be lived. And so I don't know who we're talking to right now and who's listening, but there's still life to be lived. Despite whatever it is that you're going through, what you're feeling, how overwhelmed you are, feelings are feelings. Feel them, acknowledge them, but don't let them keep you stuck to where you're unable to move forward and go after the life that you truly deserve to live, because that's what you're still here for. If your heart's still beating, you're still here listening to us, there's still life to be lived, and you can do it more on your own terms, just within your own power. Just start thinking about those things that you can start to change, those things that you are willing to shift, just so you can go out there and create that reality for yourself. Empowerment every single day, Laura. because you talked about empowerment isn't about adding something new to your to-do list or spending more money, but what are those one or two everyday ways someone can feel more empowered starting today?
It's those little steps, again, that don't take a lot of time or money. If you love reading, read something just that empowers you, that makes you smile. If you love being outside, go be outside for 5 minutes. Take a 5 minute walk. Dig in the dirt for 5 minutes. Just, it's those very simple everyday moments. And very vividly remember when I was in a very, very difficult grieving time. My first guide dog had just died. I was deeply, deeply, deeply grieving. And my nieces at that time were about 4 and 2. And sometimes I would just randomly pick up the phone and call my sister-in-law and just say, okay, 4-year-old, tell me about your day. What did you do today? And 2-year-old, what new letter did you learn today? And just hearing their joy, hearing them laugh, that just gave me that 5 minutes of reminder of just, I'm okay. Again, that I am enough. So I share that very practical example to say that's just one thing I did that didn't take a lot of time, wasn't expensive. It just gave me that glimpse of hope, that glimpse of joy in the midst of deep grief.
I like it. So 2 things you can do every day to give you that sense of empowerment and to be the empowering you that you can is do what you love, even for 5 minutes, and remind yourself that you are enough. You are enough.
And I want to share a quick tip on that, remembering that you are enough. So a lot of people, everyone that I work with, we come up with how for them is it going to be helpful to remember that you are enough. And what a lot of people do is they'll put a reminder on their phone, like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night. Just at one point during the day, they'll just set a reminder and it just pops up on their phone, I am enough. Or a lot of people will just write the word enough on their bathroom mirror. So every day when they're brushing their teeth, getting ready for the day, unwinding from the day, they just look up and see they are enough. So just whatever action is helpful to you so that you constantly see it. So you're constantly reminded each day, yeah, I am enough.
Thank you, Laura, for that tip. It's something that kind of happened today. My phone lit up and I have a reminder that goes off, and it's just a daily reminder for me to reflect on where am I right now in life, where am I right now in regards to my goals. And when I work with clients, they have to set that reminder to go off at some particular point in time, and they have to be still and pause, do deep breathing, and truly reflect, where am I right now, and where I say I want to be, where am I presently, what am I grateful for. But it's just that moment to just show up for yourself, to put you on your calendar. And so I'm really glad that you gave that I am enough reminder just to resonate, because you just don't know what those thoughts, those feelings, those beliefs and circumstances are showing up in that particular moment. But when that reminder comes on, that reminder for you, showing that self-compassion to remind you that you are enough, it's powerful. And it's definitely not, it to you it might seem like a small act, but it's going to compound in so many different ways of your life, just being reminded that you are enough and realizing it and then embodying it in your next move, thought, feeling, or belief, or even decision that happens afterwards. So I really am grateful that you shared that tip for people to remember and remind themselves that they are enough, along with doing something that they love, even for 5 minutes. If you can get more minutes of that and more things of what you love over time, of course, that's going to be even more beneficial and highly valuable for you. But just those 2 things that you can do every day, I think will really help you feel and truly be empowered. And so thank you for that. So as the founder of Ubi Global and a speaker who's reached thousands, how do you bring your own story into the work you do with others, Laura?
So I bring it in by, and I'm not saying this word because it's your podcast, I promise, by empowerment, to be a voice, to be a presence that acknowledges we all face constant change. We're all having to navigate through change as companies, as organizations, as individuals. We're constantly going through change. So how do we be empowered through that change rather than allowing that change to just stop us, prevent us from moving forward? And I always make it very, very clear that empowerment is exactly what you said. It's not a fix. It's how do we develop a framework, a foundation that we constantly live from, so we're empowered each and every day? Because we might make it through this change, but there'll be another change soon. So it's not about fixing, solving the problem, the change we're going through. It's about creating a mindset, a foundation of constant empowerment.
I love it. And I know that is truly highly valuable in regards to how you work with other people. And we hear frameworks and processes and flows, but to truly have a framework or a system or a process that helps people be empowered every day, that's priceless. And so I know that that's a valuable, very valuable asset to what you do and who you are, and being able to resonate that and give that to someone else. And so I really appreciate you breaking that down. Do you think that spiritual courage plays a role in how we move through physical or emotional limitations?
100%. Because the spiritual courage gives us that grounding that we are enough, that we do matter despite our diagnosis situation, that we do have purpose and value to give to this world despite how we view ourselves. So yes, that spiritual courage absolutely gives us that, just again, that grounding that we're enough, that we matter, that we're worthy.
I like it. Worthy. Y'all drop the word worthy in the comments if you're still connecting with us, vibing with us in this conversation. And if anything resonated with you as we have been talking and really just vibing together, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit that notification bell so you never miss an Empowered Place, Empowered Lives podcast episode. Or if you're listening on your favorite podcast distribution platform, make sure you give the show a rating and a follow and share it with somebody that you love and care about, and you want them to be reminded that they are enough. All right, so Laura, we're going to shift into the Vitality Sparks round. So it's quick fire, rapid fire, ready to go, good vibes, good energy responses. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Here we go. What's one belief that's never failed you, even in the darkest moments?
I am enough.
What's a sensory experience, whether it's sound, scent, or touch, that still brings you peace or joy despite losing your sight?
This, can I give two real quick?
Yeah,
They go together. The feel of the sand on my feet and the sound of the ocean waves.
there we go. The last time you cried, what moved you to tears?
Honestly, frustration.
A habit you swear by that helps you stay grounded.
Mindfulness, the practice of mindfulness.
What does wholeness mean to you today?
Empowering, living, empowering every day is wholeness.
What's one thing you wish more people understood about living with a disability?
I'm just human.
Fill in the blank. I feel most empowered when
I offer myself self-compassion.
Yes. All right. So, final two questions, Laura. Give some words of wisdom, insight, support to the girl dads, the role models, father figures of women experiencing pelvic pain, bloating, fatigue, diagnoses like endometriosis, adenomyosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, fibroids. Give some insights to the spouses and the partners, those male role models that are inside of the support system, how could they best be a part of this healing journey?
Listen, don't instantly fix.
Listen, don't try to fix. I'm with it. All right. If you could have a meal with any historical figure, who would it be and what would y'all eat?
Can it be a family member?
Yeah.
Okay, so it would definitely be my grandfather that I never met, that died before I was born.
Okay. And what would you all eat?
We would definitely have seafood.
I'm with it. All right. So let everybody know where they can find you, connect with you, grab your book.
So laurabratton.com is my website that has all the information, book, speaking, coaching. It's all there.
All right, y'all. It will definitely be in the show notes. So if you've been walking through change, grieving what was, unsure of what's next, Laura's story is your reminder that you don't have to wait for the fear to go away before you begin again. Grit and grief can coexist. And gratitude isn't just for the good days, it's what helps us create them. So start where you are. Choose one small moment of self-compassion today and let that be enough. Y'all, it's your Healthy Habits and Lifestyle Coach Jovonnie, host of the Empowered Plates, Empowered Lives podcast. Check the show notes for all the good vibes and value. And if you're someone who just doesn't know, where in my life am I causing disruption to stay in pelvic pain, bloating, and fatigue? Get your 15 hidden and lifestyle disruptors guide that's in the show notes and take the quiz to spot your trigger. Thanks for vibing with me, y'all.